Is your to-do list?
It's out of control. Oh, sorry.
It's a dumpster fire.
You guys were there. Sorry, I didn't even know you were there.
We're just trying to keep up with the lists. List and
Hello, everyone.
Thank
How are
you
you today?
for
Welcome to
joining
Coffee
us.
with Kim and Jason, the show Adultitis does not want you to know about.
Happy Whimsy Wednesday.
Yes, it is Whimsy Wednesday.
It is Whimsy Wednesday.
We need some whimsy. It's raining here. I asked everyone, a lot more people in here already asking what's going on weather-wise in your neck of the woods. We got some cloudy Scottsdale, sunny. I think I saw sunny Seattle. Like, what are the chances?
Cloudy in
sunny
Scottsdale.
Seattle.
Sunny in Seattle.
What is wrong with this world? What is happening?
The imbalance.
We got people drinking Pike Place blend. I saw sparkling water, Earl Grey tea.
It's like
that's
a good combination of things.
White pomegranate white tea from Trader Joe's.
Ooh,
that's interesting. Oh, here they're coming in now.
Seltzer.
And it's getting harder and harder to keep up with these days. Fireplace is on. That's
nice.
Good. Morning, Ian from Australia. Good to have you again. He's got his Australian afternoon tea. We got some seltzer. Water's always popular. Going with my standby coffee.
We've been buying more coffee lately. Anyone else finding yourselves?
Usually we just drink coffee in the morning.
Yes.
And then we started drinking it for the show. And now when we don't have the show on the weekends, it gets to be about 3 o'clock and we're both like,
Where's the coffee?
Where's the coffee?
Literally, we were doing something. It was like 3:08, and I'm like, I could use a cup of coffee. And then I looked at the clock. I'm like, oh no!
As if that idea just randomly came to you out of the blue.
That's addiction, girl. So
yeah,
that
could
reality.
Be worse things, I suppose. So we will be talking about to-do lists today. Kind of an interesting way to look at it that hopefully will be encouraging to some of you. Hopefully all of you, but particularly I know some people will find it especially. A lifeline, perhaps.
Hopefully,
So I gotta say, today was a good day for me, and I bet you know why.
Yes.
Because I spent most of my time in the studio. It's been like this struggle to try to reserve. Why do you have to work so hard to reserve the time for the things you love? At least for me, that seems to be that it's really easy to fritter time.
There's whole books written on this, by the way.
Yeah, so
actually, if that's a real legit problem for you, The War of Art.
Yes.
Read the book, The War of Art.
It's by Stephen Pressfield. It's a book that I actually read every year, and it talks about the resistance, which is a close cousin to adultitis. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that he talks about is that the more important something is to the evolution of our soul, the more resistance shows up. And it's called The War of Art, but it's really any creative act. It's not just artists, but it could be writers and musicians, people who are creating anything, a business, whatever. And it's really great to identify why we have such a hard time carving out that time for ourselves, where things like writer's block comes from, which of course comes to people even if you're not a writer. So I highly recommend that. So today
Jim Cramer says great read for non-artists too.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, totally.
So today I was working on, I shared this a couple days ago. It might not show it, but the bear is not done at all. Like there's still mostly underpainting, but the water is almost done on this one.
Looks pretty cool.
And I'm really happy with kind of how it's coming across. The underpainting is all done in acrylic, and I've been able to do the water over the top with oil. And that has been fun because I can blend things in certain areas, and the colors are really coming together. I know you probably can't see it as well as there's just nothing that beats seeing an original up close, but that's been happening. But that's been in and amongst the printing out of Hipster Chewy here.
He's flying out the door.
We sold the original of this guy yesterday.
Yeah, or the day
They're
before.
all blending together.
Yeah.
And we have a series of 24 prints that I've been printing out and prepping the certificates of authenticity and whatnot. So those are flying out the door. So that's been keeping me busy, which is great. I appreciate that. It's all good stuff. But
But
yeah, the to-do list is
yesterday's
just
walk, we've been taking afternoon walk every afternoon, and yesterday we're like, why is it so hard for me to get some straight hours of uninterrupted studio time? So it's good to identify what you're longing for, because there's a reason for it. So today has been a better day.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm looking forward to, and we've talked about this already a couple times, but Monday coming up starts Wonder Hunt, the 2020 edition. And I'm really excited about how much you've been able to incorporate it into what's going on in our world right now. And I think that this is a thing where people probably need this more than ever. I would expect. And we wanted to bring up someone. I'll let you talk while I figure out how to pull her up.
Okay. Yeah, so last October we did Wonder Hunt for the first time, and within the cohort there's about 150 of us. I would say there were probably about 30 to 40 of us that were pretty actively posting on a regular basis, and we kind of got to know each other better and better. And one of the people was Rachel, and here she is today. Hi, Rachel. And so we wanted to invite Rachel to kind of share her Wonder Hunt experience and kind of give you a more personal perspective from someone who went through it that's not us. So, yeah.
And
How you doing?
Jason and Kim, longtime listener, first time visitor. I really appreciate you having me on to talk about Wonder Hunt, because as both of you have probably heard me nauseatingly state, it was such a huge thing in my life. So I appreciate the chance to share that with everyone else here. So hi, everybody. Super excited to see you. Hi, Mom. My mom's here. Thanks.
She's famous.
Internet fame. No. So I did want to just kind of touch on what Wonder Hunt meant to me and why it was so important to me at the time it came around. And what you were just saying, Jason, about the resistance, I think really ties into what I was going through at the time that Wonder Hunt came about. I was resisting moving forward in my life. So I did make some notes because I'm not the professional speaker that you guys are. So I'm going to try to do this.
I'm glad it looks that way. That's great.
Yeah, I feel weird being nervous in my kitchen right now. Like, why am I nervous?
Oh, I love that shirt. You backed up a little bit. Like, oh, that's awesome. I love it.
So anyways, I'm sure I recognize lots of names actually on the chat that you've probably received some Escape Adulthood emails from me. And if you haven't, the signature on my email says Eternal Optimist, Wannabe Wizard, and Kitchen Karaoke Star, clearly. But one of the things that it definitely could have said is a recovering control freak. And a few years ago, it would have said full-blown control freak, because I have always been a person with a plan and a to-do list and a timeline and knowing exactly how everything's going to turn out, because obviously I've been fortunate in my life to think that that's how life works. But unfortunately, a couple years ago, I kind of had a domino effect of Murphy's Law that proved to me that that is not how life works. And life comes at you sometimes, and life can come at you pretty fast sometimes. I really didn't plan that, but it definitely threw me off and left me feeling completely uncertain and scared and not sure what my future looked like anymore. I didn't have the plans I once had. I was all of a sudden feeling really alone and isolated with my two kids whose life had also been turned upside down out of nowhere with no say of our own. I don't know if this sounds familiar to anybody with anything that's going on now, but it was our own personal crisis back then of some separation and divorce in my life, not the global health pandemic that's happening now. But I will say that those feelings really hit home then and now, because it put me into what I considered my survival mode. And I was just living day to day, getting through, moving forward. The world was still turning. I was still here. Things were still happening, but there wasn't much to it. And the tricky thing with that eternal optimist in me was that I knew at some point things would have to get better, right? But like when and how was that going to happen? And it reminded me of that quote about the difference between a rut and a grave is how deep it is and how long you plan on staying there. Mm-hmm. And being that eternal optimist, I knew like, I'm not making this a grave, but as each day blurs together and I'm not sure how to move forward or how to change, it was starting to feel that way. I didn't know how to climb out. And it was just really divine timing that right after my divorce finalized in September, I saw a post from Escape Adulthood, who I followed only on Facebook at that point, was about Wonder Hunt. And Kim's words about finding joy again, spark that inner heart that has been missing, find yourself, get out of your rut, stop living in survival mode. I was like, is she in my house? Like, what is happening here? How does she know this is what I'm feeling? And I saw someone post that on this Wonder Hunts post and was just like, yes, it does speak right to your heart. She is speaking to you. Get on this and do this. Because through jumping into Wonder Hunt and joining the league and finding all these people who were also fighting their own adultitis in whatever way that was such an awakening for me. And it was such a sense of community. And it helped me get through some really bad times where I needed some validations of feelings and like to know other people are struggling too, but like this is how we can get through it. And the league is great for the uplifting and the fun and the lightheartedness. And what I loved about Wonder Hunt is there was that too, but I really felt like we all created such a community that we were able to delve in deeper and really share some of those things that were not as lighthearted, that we were really feeling, and then to receive encouragement and compassion back was like, wow, this is really fantastic. And it allowed me to be more vulnerable and raw and authentic and re-find that Rachel that was missing. And me and my family and friends joke it's, Rachel 2.0 because I'm coming back, I'm coming back a better version. And I really see Wonder Hunt as that ladder that was given to me while I was in that rut, and each challenge and reflection I made was like adding another rung, like, yep, I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to get out of this. And when I did, I looked around and the world was different. I was different too, though, from going through all that and being able to reflect. So when all of this started happening, it was like, hey, you're back a couple of years ago. You're back to at your house and your kids don't know what's going on and it's up to you to explain it. And good luck, because we don't know what this is going to look like. And it really brought me back to that time. And I have been fighting the fight to not stay in that rut. But it's hard right now for everybody. And I think everyone has that state of mind of survival mode. The days blurring together, not sure what's coming at the end of whenever this ends. And I could not endorse Wonder Hunt more at a time like this, because it is exactly how I felt back then. And it helped me, instead of trying to control all of out there, good thing I don't have a Jason sitting next to me, all of out there. Instead of trying to control all these things that we can't control, it helped me turn inward to decide who I wanted to be and how I wanted to react to everything that was going on. And I think that is so helpful, because once you decide who you want to be through something, it's a lot easier to look at it as, well, yeah, this is all happening, but I'm still me. And now that this is happening, as Jason says, what is possible? So to give people that gift right now. I just was so excited when you guys announced that you were doing it again. And I'm super excited to be part of it. So if anyone is not sure that they want to do it or scared to post, the other thing in my tagline is support Superstar. And that's for these guys. I'll do whatever I can to support them. But also in that Wonder Hunt, you have a #1 cheerleader right here, because I will be reading the posts. I will be responding when I can. I do have 2 littles, that I might not be on it all the time, but I would absolutely love to share the experience with everybody, and you carry it with you. You definitely, to this day, I still go for walks in the woods and end up looking for some of the things. And my 7-year-old Josie is the best at finding hearts. I have never been great at that, as Kim is, but Josie loves it. And then she'll say, take my picture with it and send it to Mrs. Kentucky, because she knows that you love it. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel. That's awesome.
I wish we have to go back and read the comments later, because everybody's just like, 3 cheers for Rachel. We love Rachel. Thanks for your honesty. And so, I mean,
Michelle says Rachel's my hero.
Aw.
I think your mom's name is Beth. Is that
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
She says all versions of Rachel. So that's a very nice mom thing to say. And
She's
it's
known
true.
them all. She's known from the beginning,
Yeah.
So they're just echoing exactly what we're feeling. Thank you for sharing and for kind of taking us through your journey a little bit. And I think it's just an interesting, I don't know what kind of straw you pulled that you get to do this again. The highs and lows of like crazy. Like,
It doesn't necessarily feel lucky. But I would say the thing I'm most grateful for in the whole experience, though, was it connected me with Kim and Jason and Jenna. And now I am part of the team. And never in any version of my timeline was I like, I'm going to work for that artist I really like. This is good. This is going to happen. After Wonder Hunt, I ordered the Live on the Edge of Expectation elephant print, where the elephant's on the edge of the cliff with the umbrella, and I just love that. And the whole point of that one is expect wonderful things to happen, and I truly feel that wonderful things started to happen to me after Wonder Hunt. So I hope that happens for everyone that signs up.
Well, thank you.
Adulthood. I don't know how the payroll, I don't know.
well, recently it's a little tough, but yeah.
Thank you, Rachel. I really appreciate you jumping on with us.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Thank you.
Why that was causing a problem. I don't know where we left off.
I love how I have like 4 texts from people on the chat. So thank you for that. And we're like just chatting away.
All right. Sound got weird when Rachel left.
Okay.
So we didn't really say anything that important other than it was nice to hear Rachel's feedback, because it's very similar to the feedback we've been getting. And Kim started Wonder Hunt to help herself out. And I encouraged her to make it into something because it was helpful to her. I'm like, well, maybe it'll help other people. And so it's been pretty cool to see that. escapeadulthood.com/wonderhunt is where you can go to sign up for it. Someone had asked how you do that. So that's how you do that. And then that transition, if I remember what I was saying, was about seeing with new eyes and the opportunity to look at our to-do list in a new way. So about that, we talked about earlier this week when we were talking about tinkering, and we were talking about the difficulty of giving advice, because some people need to hear different types of advice, even though we're going through the same thing collectively. It's hitting us in certain ways. And so sometimes people need a kick in the butt to say, hey, go do something with this time. And then other times we need to be reminded to be kind for ourselves. The thing you brought up earlier about the 100%. You want to share that?
I was on a chat this morning with someone, and she said she had a rough day last week, and she's like, all I could do was this and that. And then that was my 100% that day. And I was like, oh, that is such a great way to word that. Like, your 100% is going to look different from day to day. And I think the thing that really stood out to me as I processed that is that the 100% of modern day, like today's 100% is way different than my 100% like 2 months ago. It's just, there's energy that is required during this time that is kind of under the radar, that it's being used up. But it doesn't seem like it, right? You had just said like the little things we're thinking about. I feel
like I'm exhausted at the end of the day, but I don't feel like I got as much accomplished as I wanted to. And I think part of it is because of just the uncertainty weighs us down. I think also there's just weird things, you know, like we get grocery delivery, but I have to like plan it even longer than I normally do because it's such a demand right now that it's like a week before we can get the groceries, and then they don't bring everything you need, and I have to figure out another way to do it. And a lot of stuff with Amazon.com is out of stock and is weeks behind. And so just like a lot of like annoying things. Like if that's the biggest annoying things I have, that's not a big deal, but it does minimize the capacity of what our 100% looks like, right? So I have to give credit for the idea for this show from my father, because he sent an idea a couple days ago that I really liked, and we all joke with him because he has a little yellow notepad that he would carry when he worked at a lumber yard in his pocket. And it was a little maize lumber, maize nails, I think, notepad, and it would be kind of like his catch-all for ideas and thoughts and to-do lists and stuff. And he actually shared this idea that instead of like thinking about to-do lists, because it seems to be that we let our to-do lists drive us, and it's usually filled with a lot of shoulds, right? We talked about that, I think, with Scott Ginsburg about the idea of like we need to stop shoulding on ourselves. And so it's usually filled with shoulds. And then when we don't accomplish the things, we kind of feel bad about ourselves. We feel like, oh, what's wrong with me? I should have done more. I should have done this. And it's easy to kind of feel defeated. So he floated the idea that I love, that he said, we need to make a done list. Like, what are the things that you actually accomplished in the day? And he said, I'll read what he said, because he said, I say ditch the to-do list. How about after supper, maybe in the evening or before bed, we sit down and jot down a done list. He said, believe me, it doesn't have to be remarkable or world altering. It's just, doesn't even have to be life changing, just simple. So he gave examples of like, today I exercised for 12 minutes. Today I went for a walk. Today I really listened to my child. Today I fixed something around the house. Today I took a 15 to 20 minute nap and it felt good. Today I did a half hour of yard work and I saw some new flowers popping up. And I think that's a really good way to look at it, is because a lot of those things aren't necessarily on our to-do list, right? Some of the things that we actually accomplished during it, like I don't know that too many people have on their to-do list, like listen to my child, like do this, have a fun moment with someone I care about. Like those are the things that maybe are just as meaningful as some of the other things you're supposed to get done. And I love this. He says it's so easy to get discouraged with our situation, especially when we feel helpless. But I have a feeling that when you wake up in the morning and look at yesterday's done list, you might get excited about possibilities for today's done list. So I love that concept. I thought that was worth sharing. Another thing that Kim and I were talking about is as March turned into April, and we both have bullet journals here, it was the opportunity to switch into a new month. And I gave myself permission to blow up my normal schedule, because it appeared that we're going to be going through this for at least another month. And I gave myself permission to kind of scrap all the things that were on my to-do list and transfer them into something David Allen calls the someday maybe list. David Allen is the author of the book Get It Done, I think it is, Getting Things Done, something like that. But the idea was, okay, this was on my to-do list and I do kind of want to do it, but I'm not going to do it in the next month or the 6 weeks. So creating a separate list, someday maybe, so there's a place for it, but it's not on your main to-do list giving you that feeling all the time of like, you should do this, you should do this, you have the time, you should do this, which is maddening, right? And I know you did the same thing.
Yeah,
right?
and mine actually had a lot to do with things that now may reschedule or may cancel, but it's up in the air. So, and there's things we need refunds from. I'm sure everybody's dealing with this, right? Things you paid for that now are canceled, and you'll get a refund, and you should keep track of it if you actually get it, and all of that. So I have different lists going in the back of my journal that kind of qualify some of that stuff, so it doesn't get clogged up in the things that I actually have to do, like real legit to-do items I don't want to forget about. So it's been a mental exercise. There's been a lot of permission to do things differently, organizationally, and that's okay. It's being aware of it.
Yeah. So that permission to not let the to-do list tell you how bad you are in this time, because again, the capacity for what 100% looks like is a little bit different right now. And the things that we need to be a little bit kind to ourselves sometimes, and to give ourselves permission to put things on a different list. I like the idea about the done list is the sort of concept of naming your wins, right? So I think every day you need to shoot for, what are the wins of today? And on your worst days, it might just be, I made it through the day, right? But it might be, I went for a 15-minute walk and it made me feel better. That was the win for the day. And so I think shifting our mindset to look at the wins, and of course, one of the cool things about a to-do list, the whole point of checking things off, is it does actually create a chemical reaction in your brain that makes you feel good. It's sort of like a dopamine hit. And which is why, I don't know if anyone has the same sickness that I do, where you do something that wasn't on your to-do list, but you write it down just so you can immediately cross it off, right? Is there anyone that fits with that? Yes, I've seen that already. That's because it feels good, right?
Right.
So I think in a time when maybe the to-do list is not being tackled as well as we would like, making sure that we hit those wins is a big deal. One last thing to think about is, as we go through this time, and I'm seeing a lot of signs that are looking good, around the country, like California is shipping a bunch of ventilators back to the federal government, to places that need them lower,
right?
Because they don't need them. They seem to have hit their peak. It looks like New York City might be hitting the peak. A lot of the areas around our country is maybe we're getting to the downward trend, and still a lot of uncertainty ahead of us, but a lot of treatments are coming online and things are looking good. But in the meantime, as we see the light at the end of the tunnel happening, is to kind of ask yourself the question, what have you enjoyed about this period, right? We can all say things we haven't enjoyed, but what are some of the things that you have enjoyed, either not having to do or new things that you've started to do or implemented into your routine? And then from there is to see, when this is all over, are there any of those things that you can continue and maintain and incorporate into your day-to-day life? I mean, I've really liked our family walks. After the show, once I upload everything, we go on a little family walk. I think the kids have enjoyed that. Our evenings have been kind of our sacred time, where we have dinner and we have kind of a little routine that we've developed that helps bring a sense of normalcy to things. So there's, even just some of the stuff that got moved to my someday maybe list was like a red flag. That's like, maybe that should be on the someday never list, because I realized how unimportant maybe it really was. So ask that question to yourself. What have you been enjoying about this time? And see if that might bring you some insight as to what you can do going forward.
I saw Mary said that she's enjoying online workouts. I think we're all kind of discovering new ways to do things, right? So I think that is kind of a neat thing to start processing. Who knows what the timing is of the descent and what the transition back looks like, but I think it's something we can all start to process along the way of saying, what kind of things do I want to keep doing?
And it makes me, I don't like the phrase when we talk about I can't wait till things go back to normal.
Right.
And I know what that means. This is not normal, but I also am hesitant about that, just because of the whole we get to define what the new normal is. And so I don't want things to go back exactly how they were. I would suspect most of us don't. And so there's an opportunity that we have to create that. I see that we have a question. We put a poll in there where we asked if people's to-do list was digital, analog, both, or non-existent, and both seems to be the winner. Non-existent also got quite a few votes. And then there was a question here, I believe, for Kim. Jim asks, I know that Kim is a gifted photographer and speaker. Does she also do any artwork?
Ooh, that's interesting. Actually, just today, Jim, you'll appreciate this. And the kids are going to share some of this too, but we were making Easter eggs and Easter decorations, because that's one of our neighborhood things. We're going to all like flood our windows with Easter decor for our walk. So I was using some washi tape and doing little Easter eggs. I did this little guy, artwork. I guess that's a little subjective, as being married to Jason. You kind of look at, I know.
Don't get me started.
I know. Being married to Jason, you can't compare your, drawings and whatnot, because he literally is a trained professional.
Well,
so
but at the same
Easter
time,
eggs.
it comes out in different ways. I've been trying to tell her for years that she has an eye for photography, that somehow because I'm the creative one in the family, that I am the best at all creative things. And she has a knack for seeing things in nature and framing it in a way that I just don't have. And it's impressive to me. So I think we're all creative, and it just comes out in different ways. So
yeah, thank you for asking, Jim.
Yes.
It's fun. And it's one of those things I tinker with, right? So that's what it's all about.
Yep.
In fact, the kids want to share some of their Easter art. You want to come over? Oh, Ben's got something else too. Come on over, guys. Would you want to show? You want to show this one? And this one? Wow,
What do you got,
Ben's
Liz?
been busy.
Lucy's got Easter bunny.
Easter eggs and this bunny on the Easter egg.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
Kind of cool.
I like these. This is washi tape here, the little stripy things.
Washi tape and Easter, they go
Who made this
hand in
one?
hand. Oh yeah, Ro.
Ginny made this one with little feathers in it. Little chick coming out with the feathers.
So
I
cute.
love that.
Love it.
What else you got?
And have this.
What is
Carrot.
it? A carrot.
Aww.
Oh my goodness.
So what we like to do is we Google image things. So we put in like Easter decorations or something, and then we just kind of get inspired and see what we can make. Was this one of your things that was on the project?
I like this little bunny. Does anyone else here thinks this looks like an Easter bunny and BB-8 had a little kid?
If
That's
they
what
made
it
it.
reminds me of BB-8 as an Easter bunny. I love it. And what do you got there, Ben?
You have something else?
A Lego guy.
Ooh.
Ben drew a Lego guy. Is that supposed to be you, or because you're excited tonight, right?
Yeah.
Because we have been watching Lego Masters, and tonight's episode is all Star Wars. So we are excited to watch that tonight.
What else? What is this little
This
thing?
is a hat.
You want to try it on? Let's see. Wow.
You need to tie it.
You have to
Tie
tie
it
it.
on.
Did
I
you
love
did I hear you say you want to wear this when we dye Easter eggs later?
You gotta have a uniform when you dye Easter eggs.
I love it.
Let's see. One more question
Ooh,
here.
Yeah. Did you have something else you want to show me? Oh, okay.
Trisha asks, what kind of coffee are you drinking? Just curious.
Caribou.
Caribou today.
Mhm.
Yes, Caribou coffee. We don't necessarily
medium
have
roast.
an official brand. We go
kinda
through
bop around.
whatever's on sale is what we get.
Mhm.
But yeah, today is Caribou.
Yeah, thanks for asking. So yeah, if this inspires, Rowie cut out that little bunny and helped me color it too. So maybe this will inspire a little whimsy. That was my Whimsy Wednesday post today. It was Easter decorations. I mean, is there more whimsical things?
It's a great time of year for that.
Right? The colors, right?
All right.
Thanks,
Well,
guys.
thank you guys for sharing.
Ben's got a little mood
And then
now.
getting a little bit more
Yeah,
action here.
I love it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. Continue to spread the word. We'll keep doing this tomorrow. Tomorrow we're very excited. We have a New York Times bestselling author coming on. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but he's an awesome
Cool.
dude.
Yeah.
So you want to be here for that. And I think we're also going to do a giveaway of his book. And so I'm going to give that away to someone who is here live. We haven't talked about how we're going to do that, but we are going to do that. But you have to be here live to be able to win. So, yeah, Susan says, put on my to-do list.
Nice.
There you go.
Well played.
Yes, thank you very much. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Not sure what that was about, but thank you for alerting us to the problem. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.
See you
Have a
soon.
great